Welcome to My Vision is Clear Experiences. Today is my first episode, and I have a special guest for you today. So if you don't want to miss out, I would suggest that you like, subscribe, comment, and share with everyone you know. Don't be selfish and keep this information to yourself. Let's go. Helping people is something I knew I always wanted to do. I mean, that was just in me. However, I did not know what that looked like, what that meant. But my family told me that this is how you could do that. You love to argue. You love to research. You love to debate. Why don't you look into being an attorney? And I was like, that's not a bad idea, because I love to watch anything that has to do with law. I'm a Law and Order fan. How many of you guys are Law and Order fans? I'm that. So I love watching cases. I love, seeing how they dissected the case and just brought the truth out. I loved all of that. And I thought, well, maybe this is something that I could do. On top of the fact that my family is very much community oriented. We are very much about helping our people, and we would see a lot of injustices that was happening in our community. And so we were always about that. So I knew that being an attorney was a way for me to help my people. However, I still felt like that wasn't enough. I still felt like, yeah, I could do that, but I needed to dig deeper, and I didn't really know how to do that. Now, mind you, I'm not an emotional person. What I discovered is if you don't tap into the emotional side of who you are, you can't really tap into your true abilities and your true skills and your characteristics. And so for me, once I had my kids, I was discovering this emotional side. Not something that I was comfortable doing, because again, I'm not an emotional person. But it's something about when you have your children, it really opens up this side of you that is unexplainable. And having had children and having had the opportunity to have that side explored, it allowed me to dig deeper into seeing how can I incorporate this feeling of emotion and still help people. So here I am today, the owner and founder of My Vision is Clear, and also working on my degree to be a mental health counselor. And so who would have thought years ago that that is something that I would have wanted to do, because I was always, again, seen as an IT person who was emotionless. But it's wonderful to be able to have different experiences in your life that will allow you to see the other things about you, where you can really dig in deep to see how you can be more than one-dimensional when you're serving your purpose. Today I have a guest who's going to share his experience with us. He's going to bring us on a journey of where he began, how it influenced his decisions, his life, and where it has brought him today. Today, my guest is someone who I have had the pleasure of knowing and calling my friend, my homie, my brother, someone who I can talk to, and just if I need to clear things up, he gets to me straight and simple. And I'm like, ding, I got it. I've watched him in his journey over the years, and he has become one person that I've just been encouraged and motivated by. And I am so excited to have him here today, Mr. Robert Kennedy III, although I call him Bobby. He is the president. There we go. There we go. Coming in live with that.
Yeah, come on.
I love it.
I bring theme music.
It is the music and the energy. I love it. Robert Kennedy. He is the president of Kennetik Kommunications and the founder of Storytellers Growth Lab. Considered the professional speaker. Like, he does it all, y'all. He does it all. And I'd like to welcome you, Bobby, to My Vision is Clear Experiences. How you doing?
I am awesome, sis. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. I'm in good spirits, and your energy is making it better, so it's all good.
Yeah, let's roll. I love them fly red lenses, them frames that you
I'll
got going
try.
on. Look at that. Look at that.
I'll give you a little
Yeah, and,
something, you
and
know.
it's bringing out that little touch of red in
Did you
in the
see what I did?
headpiece. Look at that.
Did
The
you
little
see what I
pop.
did?
I like it.
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to coordinate here. I'm glad you
Yeah.
noticed. I'm glad you noticed.
Listen.
So, I mean, I've known you a long time, and it feels like forever in a good
It's been a
way.
while. You
It,
want to
it,
put some
it,
numbers to this, baby?
I mean, let's just say it's been a long time, and I mean, we've grown in our relationship, in
Yeah.
our friendship, and now my brother. I mean, always been my brother, but now it's official with the marriage and all of that.
Yeah.
But I would say that there might be maybe one thing that might be unique about you that I may not know. Could you share that with me today?
One thing that's unique about me that you don't, I think y'all know everything. I think the biggest thing that you might not know about me is wow, I like pralines and cream ice cream. How about that? How
Okay.
about that?
Okay.
I don't think you know that. That's like my
I
favorite. If I
don't.
go to Baskin Robbins, and I mean I don't do a whole lot of ice cream anymore. Can you believe that when we were kids, we never thought that we'd get to the point where there's certain foods that we just wouldn't really eat. I mean, ice
I
cream was that
know.
thing. Like when I
I
was a kid,
mean,
I
yes.
never thought that I would pass up ice cream. I would say if I could have ice cream for every meal, that would be so dope. But
Right.
now it's kind of like, yeah, you got to watch out on some stuff. so,
Yeah. It don't sit the
so
same.
yeah, yeah.
Different.
But yeah, I
Different.
mean, if I go to Baskin's, if you want to get me a gift, if you go to Baskin Robbins and you want to get me, you want to know what flavor ice cream is going to work for me, pralines and cream is the joint.
Duly noted, because I did not know
Yeah.
that. I did not
Yes.
know that. Cool. Well, we're going to jump right into this thing because I know the people want to know. So, I mean, I'm going to ask you, where did this gift of storytelling begin for you?
That is a deep and complicated question. I don't know where it started, but I'll say this. My mom used to buy me books all the time when I was a kid, and I read a lot. And she got so frustrated because she kept running out of books to buy. She would go back in the day, they called it the book and Bible house, right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
she would get books from the library, she get books from everywhere. Then she would go to the book and Bible house and buy me books there. And I would read all of them. And she just got frustrated. And one day she was telling people that, my gosh, I don't even know what to buy the boy anymore. He's reading my medical encyclopedias at the house. I don't know what to get
Wow.
him. So I've loved stories for a very long time. I think a lot of kids like stories, but I was immersed in them
Mm-hmm.
from an early age. And so I love those choose your own adventure stories, the ones where it would say you're coming to a fork in the road. If you want to go left, turn to page 95. If you want to go to right,
Yeah.
turn to page
This
103.
is,
And
yeah.
so I mean I loved those. I mean, I you could give me those books all day and I would read them because it would take you could do it 11 times and have
Yeah.
11 different endings,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So I've loved and I've always been interested in that, and I think I didn't realize early how much I loved it and how much it would shape my life now because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anybody that was a storyteller or that did things with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the backstory.
Yeah, I find that to be interesting because yeah, we do get introduced to storytelling, or I guess how our imaginations would broaden in our
Mhm.
childhood based on what we're doing, whether it's books or experiences, and we don't realize that those, I guess you can say, seeds that our parents are planting really
Mhm.
are, just creating or helping us to realize some of the gifts that we have, even if we haven't really
Yeah.
identified the name of it. So I think
Right.
that's really Really amazing. So, I mean, you've gone through a journey. You probably didn't realize immediately that, storytelling was something you were going to do, but
Hmm.
you still were on a path of connecting with people to some
Hmm.
degree. What was it that made you say, okay, I want to do this? So, for example, I know you to be a teacher. That's how you
Hmm.
started, right? So, what made you go in that avenue um, so early? Well, I guess when you decided to just, I guess, have a profession
Hmm.
initially.
Well, sometimes you don't necessarily choose things. Sometimes they choose you.
Mm,
Sometimes you fall into things because of life circumstances. And I don't know that I chose teaching. I don't remember waking up and saying, "Oh, I want to be a teacher today." And I don't remember that happening.
right.
Right? If I go back further, in high school, I took a career inventory exam, and the career inventory exam highlighted two areas that I would find some affinity for or some success in. One was electrical engineering, and the other was communication. So, of course,
Mm.
I went to college and I did biology. Right.
Okay.
So, so, so I do biology in college, and in my senior year, I start working in the mental health field.
Mm.
And after college, I continued in that mental health field for a few years, not just as a counselor, but worked my way up to be a director of a department. And so that was going well. I was in the mental health field, and that prepared me really great for my next job as a seventh grade teacher. I don't know. You'll get that one day. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay. All
so
right.
so so yeah. So I mean, what happened was I was director of this department, and it wasn't going so well after a little while. There were a lot of different things, late hours, long hours, low pay, the stress of being a leader, leading maybe 25 staff in a high turnover industry that didn't really want to do certain things. And to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
the industry really wasn't being fair to them. And so all of that wrapped up ultimately led to me being given that choice. You know, that choice that you have sometimes. Either you resign or we we put you on probation forever.
Right.
So so
Yeah.
I was just like, listen, I'm not liking this anyway. So why would I want to be on probation in something that I don't like?
Mm.
So I
Right.
said, deuces. And unfortunately, it was that deuces where you don't have another plan after that.
Yeah.
I started to try to look for jobs in the same industry, same field, but the place where I was, things weren't that, the place wasn't that big. So
Yeah.
there were only certain companies that you could really apply to.
You know what's
So,
interesting about what you're
yeah.
saying is that when we get put on parole or put on leave or fired from a
Hmm.
job that we really don't care for, there's
Hmm.
something about us not taking that time to like fully say, what is it that I really want to do? We just kind of like look like, what am I going to get a job? I need to get another job. Let me get it in the same field that I know that I do not like, but it's going to pay this
Yeah.
bill or whatever. We don't take time to really say, what is it that I want to do? What is that? Is that part of immaturity? That's what would you call that?
Stress, pressure. That's like,
Stress and
no,
pressure.
really. I
From who?
mean, it's one thing if I'm like 16, 17, and I'm living at my parents' house and everything is
Right.
taken care of.
Right.
At this point, I'm not living at my parents' house. I got an apartment. I
Mm-hmm.
got a car. I have a black chrome rimmed tinted windows Acura Integra at this time. And
What?
so I'm flossing a little
Uh-huh.
bit,
Right.
and I got a little bit of a rep to keep up, right? So,
I
and it's not even,
mean,
it's not that ego big rep thing. It was just like, okay, this is what my life is right now. And um if I totally break all of this down, especially when you're a person who was out front, like singing and doing different things on
mm-hmm.
stage, anything that happens to you, it happens on Front Street,
Right.
right? Everything. So if life falls apart now, I couldn't be hiding in the background while it's happening. It's happening in front of everybody. And that's so those fears of being embarrassed, being criticized, letting people down, people pointing their fingers, yeah, all of that really creates some of the fear or us not sitting down to figure out what it is that we want to do next. And maybe we don't know how to do that sometimes because we don't always know what we want to do next.
Right, right, right. But I like that you mentioned that you took a career, was it a career assessment, and you
Yeah.
discovered two things that you want
But
you
well, the
did.
funny thing though, I didn't pay attention to those. I did at this point in my life. I didn't even remember that test.
Right,
Right.
right,
And
yeah,
it wasn't that long before. It was like maybe 5 6 years, 5 years maybe.
yeah,
I didn't remember that test at this
yeah,
point. And I think there are things in our lives that just constantly show up in our space. So even before this happens, even before I get that choice from this job, I'm
yeah.
going back and forth to work, and every day I pass this building, and it's like it's calling my name. It's calling my name. It's calling my name. So one day I finally go into this building, and I ask to speak to the owner. It's a radio station. And so the owner comes out and we have this conversation, and he says to me, he says, wow, you have a really good tool there. He's talking about my voice. He said, there's some polishing that's needed and some different things that happen, but you've got a good tool. I said, okay. Long story short, he puts me on as an intern to the news anchor for that radio station. So I spend 8 months as an intern and doing some news and being like a news anchor, an assistant news anchor, if you will, on an AM radio station. So
Wow.
I'm doing this, and there's this communication piece, and not just the communication, but it's radio. So there's like this technology piece as well,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing this, but I don't really recognize at the time that it's something that is in my wheelhouse. And
Right.
but I knew there was something that drew me to it, and but there's still that fear in place. So 8 9 months pass. The news anchor says, hey, I got an offer upstate New York to be full-time anchor on another station. I'm going to recommend your name to the owner to take over my spot. I said, oh, okay. So the owner calls me and he says, hey, Larry said that he thinks you're ready to take over as the news anchor for the station. Here's what it would take. You would have to be up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, come to the station, get all the stuff ready, get all the newsreels ready, get all the stuff ready to be ready for the 5 a.m. broadcast. You would do several broadcasts. You'd be done maybe by 11:30, 12 o'clock in the day. And oh, by the way, the pay is $6 an hour.
What? Come again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So,
You meant a minute. That's
yeah.
what you meant.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking back, if I had that decision to make today again, I would have taken it. But again, I have a car, I have an apartment, I've got things. I'm like, well, if I do this, then I got to work another job, then I got to do all these different things, and I've got my music, and you're freaking out a little bit because you're now saying, oh my gosh, how do I make this happen? I don't know struggle. I don't know challenge.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know fighting for my dream because I don't even know what my dream
What
is
your dream is.
at
Right.
this point.
Right.
So, yeah, but the story here is that even inside of that, there was this communication thing.
So, with the fact that, okay, you weren't really putting together the fact that communications was something that you wanted to do at the time, um, I always wonder if a part of why we don't necessarily see something is because of our own, you mentioned fear or
Mhm.
certain type of personality traits that we have that we feel like that can't be for me. That's nice that he sees this, but I don't necessarily feel that. So
Right.
I'm not going to take that leap. Was that something that you were struggling with at all?
No,
Or,
not in that way. I think we sometimes our options we only see certain things. right? And I think growing up in a West Indian household, you understand this. Growing up in a West Indian household, there's certain careers that are deemed like acceptable. And when I say acceptable, it's not that you couldn't do anything else, but if you name certain careers, you don't have to say anything else. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to
Right.
justify. You don't have to do anything. If you say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to med school, cool. If you say,
Right.
hey, I'm going to be a teacher, all right. If you say,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a lawyer, yeah, yeah, okay, we'll accept it, but at least we know what
Yeah.
a lawyer is. Um, so that those are
Yeah.
the big things, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and part of it is that your parents, your family, your community, they want a little bit of status based on what you do.
Hmm. Yes.
So um this communications thing, I didn't really understand what my options were.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what a communications career would look like.
Look like.
I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't know whether that meant I was going to be, okay, communications. Does that mean you're like on the news? Does that mean you're going to be a journalist? I don't know if I want to be a journalist. What else is there? So I didn't really take the opportunity at that time to explore what all of the different pieces of communication would look like because
Right.
I didn't know how to make that acceptable
Mm.
to my family and community at the time.
Yeah. And that's always the struggle
Mhm.
that we face when it comes to what we, I guess, I like to use the word passion, but I
Mhm.
also like to use the word curiosity. Like I feel like,
That's the big one.
we don't get an opportunity to be curious about other things. We just have to like find that one thing and say this is my passion. And if for some reason that passion drains from that, then it wasn't your passion, be serious and get into something else. And
Right.
that type of thing kind of kills just the whole
Yeah.
joy of it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I didn't
now,
know. I didn't know that it was
yeah,
okay to choose more than one thing in my
right,
life. I
right,
thought that I had to make up my mind. So when people and this is the trap that society puts you in from the time that you're a kid. They ask you, what are you going to be when you grow up?
mm, yep,
They don't ask you what problem you're going to solve. They don't ask you what journey you're going to be on or what are the things that interest you. They say,
yeah,
what are you going to be? And it makes it feel like you got to choose this one thing and be that for the rest of your life,
yeah,
even if you're miserable.
right, right, yes, because it pays the bills, and you
Yes.
got your car to keep parlaying in, and you got your house and
Yeah.
apartment is still, yeah, it's insane, but
Yeah.
but now that you have gone through, you know, the I guess the hard part, I like to say, of finally discovering what you want to do and what you're called to do, how did
Mhm.
that vision formulate for you?
Well, I mean, your question, as you ask it, and as people listen to this, it makes it seem like there is this moment of clarity where you're like, aha, eureka, and
Yeah.
it's not
It's a
that.
process. It's a process.
It's this continuous. It's like this onion, right?
Yeah.
And you see the onion, but you're continually peeling back layers. You're peeling back layers. You're peeling back layers, and you just know the only thing that you know is that you need to peel back layers,
But
right?
as you're peeling back those
You,
layers, you're becoming more
yeah,
clear about what you want to do, right?
not
Because
always.
you're discovering certain things. When I say clear, I mean like
Hmm.
discovering who you are, discovering your gifts, your talents, your interests. If you've never had that
Yeah, so you're
opportunity,
yeah,
right?
I'm discovering a lot of different things, but again, it goes back to that trap that's laid for us. As I'm
Mm-hmm.
discovering these things, there's a piece of you that feels like, okay, so I've got to, as I discover this, I've got to find a job that's associated with it.
Yeah.
I've got to find a thing that I can make use to make sense of all of this so that
Mm-hmm.
other people can understand me. Other people can understand my life, my dream, my vision, what I see. And that's hard because sometimes you're still discovering. You're
Discovering.
still in learning mode with a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff. And so it's it comes down to, or it came down to me, for me, the willingness to go through the pain, the willingness to go through ridicule, the willingness to go through when everybody else doesn't understand, including those closest to you,
Right.
right? The willingness to go through that and then find that moment of joy. And I'll tell you, I mean, the day, it was probably about maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I remember this day clearly. It was the first time that I lay on my bed and I said, oh my gosh, I absolutely doggone love what I do.
Wow.
This was, yeah, I mean, it was literally, I had been, and here's how it happened. I was asked to speak in Massachusetts. And so I had a workshop in Maryland on a Thursday. I flew out of Maryland after the workshop into Massachusetts, got there late on Thursday evening, was asked to speak at a school on Friday morning, spoke at the school, went and did something else. Then I had a workshop Friday afternoon and then something else Friday evening. I went home. I had to speak Saturday morning. I did a workshop Saturday afternoon. I emceed a concert on Saturday night. After the concert was done, I flew right out and flew back to Maryland because I had something to do on Sunday morning. And so on Sunday morning, I do my workshop or whatever the event was that I do, and I come home and I lay in my bed. I drop in my bed and I'm tired. My wife knows when I'm tired because I never sleep on my back, but I'm like laying flat on my back on the bed,
Yeah.
just like done.
Yeah.
And I wake up from that and I recognize everything that has just taken place. And there's this smile that comes over my face because I recognized that I absolutely loved all of it.
And here I am, like, whoo, that's exhausting.
I
And
loved
that was good
every
for you.
piece of it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And so my wife and I have this thing now whenever I do a workshop or when I do a keynote or when I speak or whatever, and she's like, how did it go? I say they loved it. Right? Or I'll say, or if I say, it was cool, she's like, do you mean they loved it? And I say, yeah, they loved it. She's like, how you know they loved it? I said, well, they told me. They said, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the part of the reason that they love it is not because I'm so great. It's because I love it. Right? And if I don't love it, they don't love it. If I don't love it, they can't love it. And so my love of it comes through every time I have to speak, every time I have to train, every time I have to do a workshop, because I mean, and it's not always easy because there's sometimes where a workshop is coming up and I literally don't want to do it. I don't like the preparation that it takes to do the workshop sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like 3, 4, 5 things lined up. I can't, it's hard to prepare for 5 things at once. And so you can only prepare for what's in front of you. And so there's the stress that happens. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I'm getting like 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours of sleep, trying to do these things.
Right.
And then, but when the 5th one happens and you lay down in bed, I'm like, oh, okay. I loved it. So, I mean,
Oh, that is like an awesome
yeah.
feeling, though. I mean, I think we all want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like outside of the work that you have to put in because you just have to, but to
Hmm.
actually after when you take a minute and it's literally a minute based on your schedule, it's literally a minute to just
Yeah.
say, "I love it." So it's
Yeah.
like through your own storytelling, I guess, through your own journey, would
Hmm.
you say that you discovered your purpose and you discovered why you matter? Like Do you feel like storytelling or telling your own story helps you to figure out your purpose?
Yeah. I think it's the willingness to explore your story, because a lot of people don't want to share, or they don't want to tell until they feel like the thing is complete.
Right.
They don't want to share until they feel like, I have a story to tell, and I have a story to tell because it's clear to me and I'm past that situation. When in fact, it may not be that you're past the situation, because it's life isn't a situation. Life is a series of situations.
Right.
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 And so sometimes you've got to stop in the middle of that series and be able to say, oh my gosh, okay, this happened and this was good. I could have done this differently. I could have done this better. This is how I navigated that. And you got to be willing to share that piece, even if you're not fully, absolved or through everything just yet. Because here's what happens. You may be the star of your story, but your story's not for you.
Can I get a hashtag, a tweet? Say it again. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, your story, your life is, I mean, the purpose. I mean, and people are looking and they're trying to find their purpose.
Right.
Here's what it is. Here's what it is. Everybody has the same purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Your purpose: impact, influence, and inspire somebody
Okay.
else. The life that you live is supposed to make a difference for somebody else. That's all you're supposed to do. People are looking for, because people mistake purpose with passion,
Yes.
right? They
Yes.
think
Yes.
they think purpose is this thing like that. Oh, I was made for only this thing. I was made to be a dancer. Being a dancer is my purpose. No, being a dancer is not your purpose. Being a
Right.
dancer is the manifestation of something that you enjoy doing. And if you fully align, or if you fully lean into it and it makes a difference for somebody else, then you're in alignment with your purpose. And your
Mm.
purpose is just to impact and influence and use your God-given gifts to make a difference in the world. That's it. Don't get confused. Don't get it twisted. Don't look for something else. That's all you're supposed to do. And it doesn't matter what that gift is.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we poo-poo, or we don't do what we're supposed to do. We don't live out the fullness of certain gifts that we have because we don't feel like it is it's fully developed or important enough, or it's the thing that is our purpose.
Right. Right. Quotation. And it's so funny because as you're speaking, it makes me go back and think about your whole point of the influence, of our
Hmm.
families, and how people's opinions and things make us feel like we're one dimensional, you know,
Right.
and that we're not multidimensional. And if we are, then we're confused, right? And we don't
Yes.
know where we're going and what we're doing, and then the parents or our guardians feel like they have to put you in here. So then when you get older, it's hard to see that you may know that, okay, I may be creative, I may be able to sing, I may be able to do this, blah blah blah, but that has nothing to do with my purpose, because that's too many things. And so I'm interested to know, when you are speaking with your clients and you are helping them to discover their story, give me an example of like what you would say to them to help them to realize that everything that they've experienced, everything that they are doing, is a part of their story and should
Hmm.
be shown.
So I think what people are really looking for is that they're not looking for whether they have a story or not. They're looking for the part of their story that really makes a difference.
Okay.
And often we don't pay attention to the parts of our story that really light us up, because there are other different pressures sometimes, right? Because
Right.
it's like the kid that is um passionate about art, and this kid loves to draw, this kid loves to do graphic design, this, but the parents don't necessarily understand that, and so they don't know how to make money with art.
Yeah.
And so the kid is now led away from that, and that is actually suppressed in a lot of ways. And so that child forgets what lights them up. The child forgets what is the thing that not just brings them joy, but the thing or the channel or the path that may help them to really create a space or create light in the world, because that's who we are, right?
Yeah.
We have this light that shines through us, this light that shines in us, and we often cover it, and we often try our best to extinguish it, and everybody else tries to extinguish our light quite often because they themselves have not discovered their own, or they're scared of the light that shines inside of them. I love this quote by Marianne Williamson. It's from, I don't know if you remember that movie Aquila and the Bee.
Yes.
And yeah, so there's this quote, and I have it on my wall, and I read it regularly. And it's like, it says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful than beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us." Right? We ask ourselves, who are you to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. Ooh, as children do, right? We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. You talking dirty now. That was good. Okay? It's
Listen.
so that was good. That was juicy. I like that. It's just hearing that is a liberating feeling. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. But
Yeah.
there are beliefs, there's behaviors that get in the way of that. What are some
Mm-hmm.
beliefs and behaviors you had to go through in order to get to this place that you are now, and as you continue to grow
Yeah.
on your journey?
I, I think the biggest thing is that we're on Earth, and we want to survive, and we're, in order to validate ourselves to other people, so we've got to prove to them that we can survive. And so we've got to figure out what's that thing that can make us money and help us pay our bills and make sense of life the quickest. And the
Yeah.
truth is, if all of us leaned into the gifts that we were given, and the gifts that light us up, we would have all the money that we needed. Right? Think
Yeah.
back to before money was a thing. Think back to when it was, we lived in an agrarian culture. And the only way that the way that we survived was we traded with each other. We gave each other what we needed as a community. So if I'm a farmer, if and I grow wheat, I give you wheat, and you take care of my shoes. You fix my shoes, right?
Right. Right.
This one fixes the shoes, the other one raises cows, and so they make meat, and they also make leather, and we give each other stuff, and we lean into what we have in order to make the community work, and there's space and there's room for all of us. And
Yeah.
so it really comes down to just being courageous at some point.
Which is a
And by
learned
being,
behavior, right? It's a learned thing. Being courageous.
you
Would you
know
say it's a
what,
learned
it
thing, or is
it
it something that's in us? What do you think about that?
courage is in us. It's in us, and I think if it was learned only, then all of us couldn't have access to it, right? Courage is something that all of us choose, and here's how I know it's courage is a choice, because courage is what you use to navigate fear.
Right.
All of us have experienced fear. And when fear happens, we've got a couple of choices. We've got a choice to listen to it, or we've got a choice to lean against it.
Right.
Right. And so when I lean into it or lean against it, that choice is precipitated, or that choice only happens by courage. And that's something that I choose. Now the magnitude of the courage is different. That may be learned. How how
Right, right.
how
How
quote
do I?
quickly I go from
Yeah,
0 to 10
yeah,
is, it may
yeah.
be learned, but I gotta choose to move from 0, and everybody
Yeah,
has that ability.
yeah. So what I hear you saying is that courage is something that's in us. We may not know the name of it, but it's
Hmm.
something that is in us. We just have to, I guess in a way we do use it when fear comes in and we decide, am I going to battle
Hmm.
this or not? So that's what you're basically saying. It's in us. We just have to tap into it.
We got to tap into it. I mean, there's as I talk about communication and storytelling, one of the words that I use quite frequently and that comes across quite frequently is the word confidence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people feel like I am, or some people are more confident than others, or some people were born with confidence. And here's the deal: confidence isn't this thing. It's not a gene. It's not something that some people are born with and others aren't. It's not this switch that you turn off and on. Confidence is simply repetition. If I
Yeah.
repeat something often enough, I become more confident that I can do that thing. And
Yeah.
so, what am I going to be confident about, or what am I going to repeat? And often, the reason that it's hard for us to be courageous is because we think about it only as something that we do, but we don't think about it as something that we do right here. And so,
Mm-hmm.
where do I want to get started? What are the thoughts that I constantly repeat
Yeah.
to myself? Okay, science says that we think more than 70,000 thoughts per day, right?
Yeah.
And so, as I think about that, what are the thoughts that I'm going to repeat? And the more that I repeat those thoughts, the more that I can tap into the courage that I need. The more that I repeat positive thoughts, or thoughts
Right.
of courage, or thoughts of affirmation, the more that I can tap into that courage. If I repeat thoughts that are negative, then yeah, I'm going to lean into fear because I'm constantly repeating fear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. Y'all see why I can talk to him all day? I mean, this is a gift. This is a gift I'm giving y'all. All right. Bobby, you're so easy to talk to, and I see why you love telling stories and why it's just easy for you to do this. Like I see, and
Yeah.
I just love watching you in this space. So I'm going to challenge you, Mr.
Hmm.
Storyteller, and ask you a question, and just challenge you a bit. So work with me here, right? All right. I'm
Okay.
going to give you three words, and
Challenge. Here we go.
I want you to create a story about the purpose of storytelling using these three words. Okay?
Hmm.
The first word is ice cream.
Hmm.
The second word is unicorn. And the third word is experiences. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to get it and then hit us off.
So let's repeat that. So ice cream, unicorn,
And
and
experiences.
experiences.
Yes.
And you want me to create a story about the
About
purpose of
of
storytelling.
storytelling.
Okay. Using those three words.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I used to love going to the ice cream truck. The ice cream truck used to come into our neighborhood all the time, and there would be that song, Mr. Softy. The ice cream truck would come into our neighborhood, and they would sell so many different things on the ice cream truck. But one of the things that we liked, especially growing up in the Bronx, wasn't the ice cream. It was this thing called the bomb pop, right? The bomb pop had all of these different rainbow colors in it, right? And it's on the bottom is red, and in the middle is white, and then there's blue, and then there's orange, and the bomb pop, and it built upon itself. And one of the things that was amazing, you kind of start at the top, and then you go all the way down to the bottom. And although the colors changed, the flavor really didn't change that much. And you know what I love about the bomb pop? It was just that there were so many different pieces of it, and that's kind of how life is, right? There's all of these different pieces, and sometimes we're trying to figure out all of these different pieces, and we're looking for this one thing. We're looking for this one experience. We're looking for this one feeling that we need to have. And as we talked tonight, we talked about people looking for this one purpose or this one space that they need to be able to get into, because we all envision ourselves to be this unicorn, right? We all envision ourselves to be this animal or this creature or this being that is built for this one thing. But maybe we're not built for this one thing. Maybe we're built like the bomb pop with all of these different pieces, all of these different layers, but in this flavor that just kind of relates to you. So I don't know what you're searching for. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know if you're trying to be a unicorn. I don't know if you're looking for what we call our purpose. But I want you to think about that bomb pop. Different colors, different layers, but one flavor that only you can provide. I don't know. How
I
about that?
mean, I mean, uh, amazing. That's all I can say. I mean, I would have been sitting here like, what was the questions again? Unicorn. I mean, this is why you do what you do, and you're amazing at it. And I mean, I absolutely just love. I really do love watching you in this space because I just know this is what you're supposed to do and then some. So I'm really excited to see
Yeah.
what more comes from this. So just let us know what is the next storytellers project. What's going on next for Robert Kennedy III?
Well, we got a lot of things coming up. We just sunset our podcast, the RK3 show. We got up to episode 100. Woohoo!
Wow! Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. And the Rockets, red glare. Yeah, all right. So we just sunsetted that, but we're starting this new podcast in April called the What's My Story podcast, how I got from there to here. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I really believe that everybody has this story. Everybody has something in their life that was pivotal, a moment that was pivotal in that caused them to persevere or that caused them to go forward. And the reason why I want people to hear those stories, because a lot of times we're looking at people, we're looking at their successes, we're looking at what they're doing now, what they're doing out front, and we don't always know the moment that made the difference. We don't always know what they went through in order to get or to find their courage
Right.
in order to move to that next space. So
Yeah.
I want to be able to share those stories with other people, especially with people, the stories of people that you see and view as really successful in their space. We want a little bit of the behind the scenes. What was going on here and how did you take that out and turn it into success?
Wow. I'm gonna sign up. Y'all go ahead and subscribe now. I'll tell you, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
how did
it's gonna be
everybody?
live. It's gonna be live.
Oh,
I
it's gonna
forgot to
be
say that it's gonna
live.
be live. It's
Oh,
gonna be live. Yeah. So, well, it's gonna be recorded too after,
okay.
but it's gonna
Okay.
be on Mondays at 1:30, and it's gonna be live. And then after the live, then we'll push it to the audio podcast. But yeah, it's gonna be live.
So just for that reason, we need to know how everyone can get in touch with everything Robert Kennedy. How do
Well,
we reach
listen,
out to you?
I am on all social media channels as Robert Kennedy 3. Robert Kennedy, the number 3, alphanumeric, not the I, just the number 3, not 2, not 4, but 3.
Awesome. Awesome. So I would encourage you all. I mean, you got a little bit today. If you want it full, y'all need to connect and sign up with everything Robert Kennedy III, because clearly you're not going to be disappointed. So unfortunately, we got to end. I mean, I know, guys, it stinks. I get it. But again, if you want more of him, you got to go and connect with Robert Kennedy. Bobby, thank you so much for just chat with me. I love you dearly. You are
Thanks, sis.
amazing, and I'm proud, and I'm inspired by you. And you my dog. All day. I just love you.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, we unfortunately have to close. This episode was a great one, and I know you would love to keep this to yourself, but I would encourage you to share, like, and subscribe to this channel and share it with everyone you know. Thank you for checking me out on My Vision is Clear Experiences. Until next time, take care.